So I've been playing Resident Evil Survivor 2. A wee while ago, a young man asked me what my top 20 favorite games of all time were. Somehow managing the sheer boredom needed to even be remotely able to commit to something like that, I then decided to make my list. It featured legendary classics such as Mirror's Edge, Spyro 2, Another Code, Killer 7, and Deadly Premonition. Though, I also figured that I needed to put at least one Resi title on there as well. But I coincidentally deemed myself way too cool for school to give up RE4 as my fave. Same story with Final Fantasy VIII being on there instead of 7 or 9. So, I wrote down Code Veronica in its stead. As I was sat there melting away into a goop of nostalgic drivel, I was thinking back to my time actually spent playing it. And good times were had indeed. Enjoying the voice acting, bonding with the characters, and slowly realizing that I hated myself the moment Chris's campaign began, where you're forced to play most of the entire game all over again. Great! But in the midst of that, I also remembered something else. Something best left forgotten, within the depths of PAL-exclusive Japanese PS2 ports. Resident Evil Survivor 2 is a beat-by-beat retelling of Code Veronica X. So it's about Claire's butt waking up on a deserted prison island, only to find that it has been taken over by zombies, and that the only other person left alive is Steve. Father! In something I could only describe as Capcom decided to take the only good thing about the original RE Survivor, being the voice acting, and replace it with silence and text. So, being the cheeky fucking Samaritan what I am, I will provide the voice acting for the entire duration of this review. But yeah, there isn't really anything to the plot besides that. The cutscenes are very poorly directed as the camera straight up clips through the ceiling multiple times, and the writing, if you can even call it that, is rife with typos and grammatical issues, and overall shit just sucks pretty fucking hard. Which you will soon notice is the game's general theme. If I wasn't here, you would have been cleared. Thanks, anyway. What does that even mean? Much like Survivor 1 and Dead Aim, this is also sort of kind of a light gun game. I say sort of kind of because it's not on rails and it still features some traditional survival horror elements. It is, however, totally playable with a Namco Gun Con. But I can't be fucked to get the CRT out of the basement, nor do I particularly look forward to owning any more PlayStation branded plastic tat. So, how does it control using the DualShock then? I mean, it's a 6th gen game, right? Surely they've figured out traditional first-person controls by now? No. It's a Capcom game. This is the company that, even in RE6, despite having practically invented the third-person shooter, still managed to massively fuck up a third-person shooter. So naturally, it controls like fucking garbage. As the back of the box describes it,
Schussspiel mit voller Bewegungsfreiheit. Survivor 2 ermöglicht dem Spieler uneingeschränkte Bewegung in deinem Levels.
Which I think just means that you can run around freely. Freely is not exactly how I'd put it though, as it tends to feel like you're controlling a fucking drunk person. You walk around with the left analog stick. So much so good there, but then they make you look left and right with L1 and R1 in the slowest possible way, and you shoot with square, because of course you do, which you'll be mashing ad nauseum as you more or less lock on to everything within frame anyway. All levels are also structured as a type of maze, with one locked door being the red one on your minimap, and you have to find a key being the key on your minimap. And literally every stage consists out of you having to find said key before the timer runs out, as once it does, Nemesis appears. Which I'm sure is entirely canon. When Kissy Lips pops up though, you get some very urgent text telling you how to feel, a couple of beauty shots for his fashion portfolio, and then he proceeds to do the equivalent of nothing, so you can just keep going your merry way, running past all the zombies to get key or reach door. What happened?
What's that?
It doesn't look so easy
Here
to
it
me.
comes.
This is a real dialogue. Someone wrote this and thought it was okay. Okay. With the way the levels are designed, it really feels like the game wants you to explore. It has a few branches with optional rooms, but those don't usually contain much of anything. And because of the timer and the constant barrage of zombies, lickers, and Code Veronica caramel men, it's not at all fun to go out of thine way. To be fair though, I wasn't really enjoying this shit in the first place, which likely didn't help, as the moment the level started, I was dead set on getting out of there ASAP. Anyway, what I'm getting at here is that they didn't bother to consider how the adventure gamey elements would collide with the shooter elements, and thus they made a broken. I don't think it'd be unfair to say that this is one of the worst playing games I've ever experienced. Like, controls aside, you and everything else move slow as dicks. And the guns are also very unresponsive, as A, the actual gun sounds themselves suck, and B, it often felt like my guns were jamming almost constantly. Which, I guess, could be a mechanic, but I'd at least expect there to be some type of clipping noise to accompany such a thing. And the fact that it has the grossest motion blur since the fucking bouncer, and that everyone clips and bumps into each other, doesn't help making it any more playable either. In an attempt to soften the heartload of fuck you get souped up with here though, Capcom decided to have an AI buddy tag along with you in the form of Steve Burnside. As expected, he sucks massive cock, and the only thing he's good for is distracting bosses until he dies so they don't spam whatever move it is they have on you right away. Luckily, if you do manage to die somehow, you'll respawn exactly where you died. Which I guess would make sense if this was an arcade machine, but it's not. It is a pink PS2. You!
Wait! She's a human being.
To give this absolute garbage some credit, the areas are fairly detailed for what they are. Sure, they reuse textures and assets from Code Veronica, but it's not like they copied the entire levels verbatim, as evidenced by them clearly not looking anywhere near as good. But considering this is a game where you're just spazzing out, not looking at anything other than the minimap because navigating is a total cunt, it's surprising to see someone at least put some effort into this. And you also get a score after each level, so you can like get good and speedrun it or something. Which, if you do, unlocks secret reports that have some sweet succulent Resident Evil lore. And you can even play the game a second time as the illustrious Steve himself. He actually has the 2 golden gun thingies he has in Code V, which is pretty cool. They seem to shoot a bit faster, and his overall walking speed is substantially higher as well. I guess this is sort of an easy mode maybe, but considering how horrible the controls were with Claire, it's more like an actually almost playable mode. Oh, and also, the music is pretty okay good. Nothing I'd listen to outside of the game, but at least it does simulate the tense action the gameplay lacks so severely. But yeah, I've played through the campaign twice
Because that's how much I care.
and I really couldn't find anything redeemable. It is actual garbage. If I hadn't paid 20 bucks for this, I'd have no issues chucking it in the bin. I'd honestly rather play the Gamecom game. Okay, maybe not. But still,
Don't play this.
well, that is unless somehow the optional dungeon mode can end up being its saving grace.
Segway.
Dungeon mode, as the name would imply, is a dungeon mode, with a bunch of original levels, all with gazillion floors filled to the brim with zombies, various pickups like weapons and health items, and overall is much more of an actual game than the actual game.
Still controls like garbage though.
Luckily, you don't have a brain-dead AI partner following you around, as instead, it's just you and endless hallways packed with cannon fodder. That, when paired with a combo and/or kill counter, where killing in rapid succession or with high accuracy results in more points, and a large variety of item drops like medical herbs, big floating coins, bullets, or a fucking rocket launcher, actually makes for a pretty decent experience. It's fast-paced, shit explodes, collecting tons of gubbins is fun, especially because your ammo can actually run out here, and you're able to unlock shit like new weapons, other bonus modes, and entire fucking levels, all with their own subsets and variants.
No shitty key hunting bogging it down either.
It's honestly a really cool idea. Traditional survival horror arguably already has some dungeon crawlery elements, so it is a good fit. Hell, if Capcom were to chop this off, spruce it up with more enemy types, traps, and treasures, give it some actual controls, and dump it onto Steam for, say, $5, I'd buy Resident Evil Dungeon Survival over Umbrella whatchamacallit any day. As it is now, though, I'm staying with my original statement.
Don't play this.
It has little to no redeemable features whatsoever. The first Gun Survivor had some really fun voice acting that kinda made me love it, but that shit is absent here. And Dead Aim had that, and some really amazing atmosphere and some fairly decent level design, which this doesn't have either. It has nothing, basically. The only instance where I can see this being fun is if you were to encounter it in an arcade out in the wild and give it a go with a friend. Only to then probably end up really disappointed either way, but yeah. The dungeon mode is a cool idea, though ultimately nothing more than that, and the main game is barely even a game. I'm surprised this ever even shipped at all, let alone got localized. Apparently, this was supposed to be a type of joint effort tech demo for Sega's new light gun arcade system,
Which seemed like a great idea.
I mean, paired with the rapid success of the Dreamcast and RE Code Veronica, it was sure to be a massive hit in arcades across the world.
The joke here is that it wasn't, obviously, in case you didn't get it. Huh?